Welcome to the Daily HiFi Podcast. We do this we just changed. So I'm glad you're here.
Right.
It is now Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. My name is Chana. With me today, we've got Mr. Joe and Tell, Mr. Aaron.
What's going on?
guys?
What's going on? It's been a long time.
Shouldn't have left you.
With
Yeah.
a bad beat to step two, step two, step two. You.
Maybe a girl.
Yeah, that was on point. You guys, the latency on that was very low.
It was, huh? It was
You know
like,
what I
it was
mean?
like right there. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Oh,
Bam,
so yeah,
bam, bam.
we haven't done this because we missed for the holidays, and
Yep.
then there was New Year's that we couldn't do because
I can do that
New
too,
Year's
Aaron.
I know.
and then
Salty
lots
bud.
of other stuff going on. We got
Right.
we had I'm wearing my LA hat, so we're over here in Southern California, Chana and I. And Chana, you've been more affected more than I have. I'm in an area that's not like closely affected. I mean, we have warnings for the air quality.
Right.
So my patio's all like has a lot of ash, so I feel bad because I'm like, wonder if that ash is some people's houses, Probably.
Yeah, or either that or some trees or something.
Not good.
Yeah, not good. Yeah, no, this it was a very jarring situation, I would imagine, for the people that are having to deal with this tragedy and this crazy wildfire. I, on the other hand, was not even in town. I was in Vegas living my best life. Like I'm just picture it. I'm DJing at Raider Stadium Tuesday night, and I'm opening up for Little John. What?
Yeah.
I'm opening up for Little John. I'm playing 2 hours before Little John goes on stage, and it was like ridiculously awesome. And while all of this is going on, I'm getting text messages. Here's me doing a video. You see there's Raiders Stadium in the background.
Raider Nation.
Oh, there's the field. Like, everything's great. And then all of a sudden I'm getting text like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, I'm great. What are you talking about? While I'm DJing, and he's like, what's no, like there's all these fires and they're evacuating La Cañada. That's where my family's house is. And I was like, oh shit. So I text my mom and she didn't get back to me. So after the gig at like 3 a.m., I get back to the hotel and finally get to talk to her. And she's like, oh yeah, we're evacuating right now. So it's been pretty wild it's a roller coaster of emotions is the best way to put it. My cousin in Altadena, she lost her house. And I just saw the videos from that, and that looked like a war zone. That was really, really crazy to see. I got back Sunday, and so Monday night we were advised not to stay in our home because we're right on the right next to the line for the evacuation. So
You were right there. Like there's an app that shows you where you're supposed to evacuate. Yours is like right. Your house is like right on that line. Like you could just,
yeah,
right there. So that's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a roller coaster of emotions. So we're gonna go visit my cousin. I haven't seen her. I talked to her on the phone that Wednesday, and I'm at the world's largest B&O showroom, and my mom's FaceTiming me. And she went back to the house. She's like, what do you want from the room? I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, what do you want from me? I'm like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. It's, everything important is here in the office. And the office is nowhere near any trees. So it's just all clothes. I mean, if you guys know what happened to me last year, I essentially left everything. So for me,
you've done that already, huh?
Like I left everything important. All this other stuff is in a storage unit. My DJ equipment's in the storage unit, and then I got the office. So for me, it's kind of just like, what the heck?
I told you yesterday, I'm like, You got those paintings that your grandmother.
Dude, I asked my mom about the paintings. She's like, "Well, which ones do you want?" I'm like, "Just take all of them. I'll put them in the storage."
Because those
She's
are
like,
the weird things. Like actually, because I had a storage fire. Right?
Yeah.
Remember, I had a storage fire, and the thing like that I miss the most is like some stupid chair that I bought when I was like young. That's like worth, I don't know,
nothing.
I think I
but your
bought it for, like,
Marantz.
yeah, that kind of sucked too.
The
But like
Marantz.
most things are replaceable. Like I could buy one of those old Marantz receivers if I needed to, but I don't know where to find that stupid chair. Right?
I had some watches in a watch roll, and I told my mom, I'm like, "Oh, just grab the watch roll because it's already like rolled up, ready to go." You know. Other than that, I was like, "Oh, my car's there. Make sure to take the car and the car keys. Get that guy out of there."
Yeah, I think it's just a good reminder that, you know, the stuff that's important is, you know, there are very few things that are not replaceable.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And as long as you got your family and your friends, everybody's safe, then that's what's important.
Yeah,
I think that's
like
perspective. You know what I mean?
right. Like they were supposed to say like winds were gonna pick up Monday night, and it's gonna be like crazy and all this. So we went to my aunt's house, who's in Glendale, and I'm like looking at my PlayStation 5 and like looking around the room. I'm like, I'm not gonna take any of this shit. like what the fuck? Like there's not even any internet over at my mom's house. That's still down. That's been down for a while. So it's kind of like I'm spending most of my time here.
You know what? Well, I definitely would not take.
What's that?
Any speakers. Like all the expensive. I have lots of expensive speakers. First of all, they're huge, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I was like, and they're all made out of wood, so they're gone.
Yeah,
they'd be gone, right? So I'm like, man, I have so many speakers over here. A bunch of them that I can't use, right? A bunch of them that I can't send back because they're really old. Like, you know, there's things that I've reviewed years ago.
Right.
And I'm like, man, maybe I should just hook people up. I was thinking, I really want to do a series where I just go to like people's houses and whoever's interested, maybe I'll put a post out there like, who wants, you know, these speakers? I'll set them up for you. Right. But I got to make a video.
I my brother got some speakers from my cousin. So I found a great $300 on sale AVR. I bought it for him for Christmas, set it up at his house, and he's like, "This is great. Thanks." You know?
I think it'd be cool to set other people up.
Yeah.
You know, for free. Definitely. Like I think I'll just make a post. I was just thinking how to do it. Maybe make a post and say, "Hey, I got these speakers. Anybody nearby who would want them if I can make a video." So is FOMO still here? We got this, hopefully. We
got this group photo here.
Hey.
Right.
Oh wow. There's all the TV guys.
Yeah, we got Tech Steve, FOMO, Caleb Dennison, Brandon, Whisper Status, Michael Manchin. We got Brandon's wife is in here too, and this is Steve's assistant, Justin.
You know what? I saw a video with you on Instagram with this Tech Steve. That was a nice video. Like how he's like, "Oh, we're over here by this, checking this out, and we have Techno Dad." Like I thought that was a smooth little transition. It looked
right here we have RGB micro LED, and here we have Techno Dad. Like, what?
It was a cool transition. It was so seamless.
Steve was like, "Hey, you're a star, man. That video's getting the most amount of views on my Instagram." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." So, who else? Hold on. There's another TV star I ran into here. You will recognize him because he always promotes Richer Sounds in Manchester.
Oh, yes.
Hey, that's right. Vincent T.O. in the house.
Hey, it's cool to see everybody in person, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen him for years. I met him at the Sony when Sony first did their Master Series TV and unveiled it. That's when I actually met Caleb for the first time. I met Shane Lee for the first time, and I don't know if he's still there, but Cedric from Artings. I met all these guys for the first time. That was years ago. Oh, and Justine. Where's Dugan? Dugan's favorite.
Justine. His neighbor.
Yeah.
Freddie, you know what speakers I want. You let me know. Tell me in the comment.
Oh, he's already clocking.
They better not be ones that I have hooked up because that's not gonna happen. Yeah. If they're hooked up, I'm using them. So yeah, what happened? What else happened at CES? Anything?
I do.
You teased some stuff before about Onkyo, and I didn't hear anything about Onkyo. What happened?
I met the Raider girls. They were at
okay.
You're like, I don't care about that.
No,
Okay, so a lot of shit happened at CES. So I got there Sunday. I'm looking through photos. So CES starts on a Tuesday. For those of you that don't know, it goes Tuesday, Friday. However, on Sunday and Monday are the press events. So you can get in there and look at stuff before the crowds get there. So Sunday, Monday, I was there. Let's see. Samsung's first look. They started rolling out something new called RGB micro LED. And they have micro LED TV sets in sizes now. So like 83-inch, 95-inch. They're still stupid expensive. I don't think they're coming out for the consumer just yet. And we also got to, check out some cool like washers and dryers and stuff like that. Like they have one that's like it's an all-in-one. It's just one thing. You just toss it in, put in the detergent, it washes it, dude, and then if it dries it in the it's the same like box. Pretty cool.
Well, what happened with Onkyo? I thought you said you had some stuff that you couldn't talk about. What happened with that?
Okay, so Onkyo has a pair of separates. They have a pair of I don't know if I so in these situations they give you this really fucking boring ass presentation because you're like, oh, we got to thank our partners. And so here are the separates. These things look actually this is the
I did see that. Yeah.
This is the Icon series. This is the A50. This is a integrated amplifier. This looks hot. This looks sexy. $1,500 for this thing.
That's all right. I want to see the other thing because I saw the other thing.
The separates?
Well, the amplifier part.
I don't know if I actually took a picture.
Bro, with the meters.
Oh, I took a video of it. I didn't take
the meters. So like if Aaron's gonna get a Macintosh, I want to be like at least have some meters, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Here it is.
You
here
print
it is.
them off on your computer and just tape them to your amplifier.
Here it is.
Okay, see. Hey, see? I like that.
Icon M80 is the amp with the
They're like a what? 2 Gs
a piece. Yeah, 2,000 a piece. They come in black and silver. And then then there's the integrated for 1,500. So if you can't afford the 2 Gs per, then you can go to that.
Bro, I like that with the meters though. That's all I need.
Meters.
Just put a WIM something.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, WIM Ultra.
WIM Ultra and that boom, you're set.
Yep. So that was Onkyo. Onkyo and Klipsch are working on some bookshelf speakers. It's called their Creator Series. Do I have pictures of that? I don't think I took pictures of that. No, because they were just like little Bluetooth speakers. So that's
were they Class AB? MW is asking toroidal AB or Class D. Did you know?
The amps I think are Class A. No, Class B. Let me see. What is this Onkyo? I have the press situation here. Press invite. Invite is confirmed. Let's see here. Onkyo CES. Media event and press kits. Media kit. Here we go. Icon series. All right, here is their press release.
Would you review that, Aaron? Like that amp, or are you not into doing the electronics reviews?
I don't know.
Because I have an idea, like you could test, so you could plug in some speakers and then test the electrical signal.
Don't do it. I knew as soon as you said I have an idea, I was like, I know what you're going to say.
Oh man, because I'm supposed to review this WIM Amp Pro, and Aaron is telling me this way of like, I'm looking into it. I didn't dismiss it completely.
Yeah, you did. You were like, I'm not doing that, bro.
No, I'm
You were like,
talking.
this
I'm
is the
talking
worst
to
idea.
NTK or whatever. I think his name's NTK.
Yeah.
All right, here it is.
MTK?
200 watts into 4 ohms, 150 into 8 ohms, symmetrical class AB amplifier with 3-stage inverted Darlington.
Ooh, Darlington. What is
Yeah,
that?
Darling. I don't know what that is. It
That's
Dude, that
features
might sound good if it's from
patented,
Darlington.
patented did or see distortion drive stage, and yada yada. So $2,000 available at the end of the year.
Yikes.
Thanks.
I wonder if they'll actually make that, like make it by the end of the year.
Huh.
Who knows? Who knows?
It just seems a lot of times manufacturers don't really hit their targeted release date.
Mm-hmm. The 2-channel hi-fi network preamplifier, also $2,000.
Oh, it has Dirac?
Yes, it has Dirac. So that's nice. It does have Dirac, for your 2-channel listening folks.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah,
I would like for more 2-channel folks to start using some form of DSP.
okay.
I know they're not into it, but
So that's a good segue to boom.
Boom.
Where's it? Stop sharing.
Right. You gotta do the boom again, though.
Yeah, you lost the effect, bro.
To the boom. The focal.
Oh yeah, the cat scratch post.
Ah,
yes. The focal. So these guys also, Joe, have an app. Here it is.
a focal.
This is for the Diva Utopia, right? And look at that room correction and all of this. So we got a whole look at this. You put the front left speaker. This is distance, right? You enter the distance, side walls, room symmetry, right? And then you do like the
preset at -2. But I can now move all the way to +10, which now shifts it to the right.
Right? Yeah, dude.
I like it.
This is actually pretty good. Tonal balance, and then there's all these tones.
All the way to here. You'll be able to really hear the difference.
Oh yeah.
In volume.
Sounds like a dial tone.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not the kind of demo I was expecting at Focal. Like a bunch of
man. That's great.
I'm like, Joe would be in heaven here right now. So that was probably one of the coolest things about the Focals. I did do a binaural recording for you guys, so you guys can actually kind of hear what I heard in that space. Never leave home without those Sonic Presence microphones. Thank you, Sonic Presence, for hooking me up with those SP15s. Been using them a lot. $40,000, and I kept on calling it a $40,000 pair of Bluetooth speakers.
I'm sure they like that.
Chris, the guy, and I was just, I like giving him shit, and so he's just like, he just shakes his head. He's like, still. And when I walked in, Romain was there. He's the head of marketing for Focal, right? I was like, hey, Romain, I haven't seen you in a long time. So you guys got a $40,000 Bluetooth speaker? And he's like, mais oui. That means, but of course. So, he was totally down with it. But of course, they're more than just a Bluetooth speaker. But it was just funny to call it that. It's Focal's first time actually taking name electronics and Focal speakers and putting it into one product. Since they're always, pairing Focal speakers with name amplification, they just decided to boom do that. Okay. So cool.
Was that girl that corrected you last time about how to pronounce Focal there?
Yeah.
No, the girl,
you walk in and say, show me them focal Bluetooth speakers.
Vocals. No, that girl wasn't there.
Any other CES things that you want to talk about? So you have a TV review.
There is a new there's a new sound bar from Nakamichi, the new Shockwave. It is not. There's Raymond Chen, the CEO.
Hopefully they have better luck with this one than they did The dragon.
Well, apparently they did fine with the dragon. But apparently the harshest review, that guy only had the dragon for 9 days. So I mean, I don't know. Uh-oh. Evacuations have been lifted for the following zones. Oh, great.
That's good.
So you can go back.
Right. That evacuation zone right next to our house has been lifted. Fantastic.
That's great. Great news.
Thanks,
Scott.
Yeah. I think let's see. So it was a pretty good demo. I took binaural. They have a processing in this new one that really does well for like the heights and getting them. It's like a processing layer on top of the Dolby Atmos that's already there. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And
how about
they're adding that to the Dragon.
How about you said you got a demo of that thing where you could connect surround speakers over your power lines?
That worked.
You had a little funny story about that or something?
Oh yeah. So you know me. Where's my I had a casualty. My bag, my satchel broke Friday morning. That has all my cameras and everything. And in one of the pockets, I brought 5 USB sticks. 5. And they have my newest Atmos mixes. If you're one of my patrons, you have it already. I haven't released it publicly yet. And it has the new Atmos. It's got like 3 Atmos mixes on there in MP4 format. And then it also has a call out for 7.1.4. And so this thing that they're doing is actually pretty awesome. Like if you didn't want to if you just wanted a TV and you wanted a 5.1 or a 7.1 or 5.1.2 with their system, you could run it with whatever speakers you have. Right?
It's amplifiers though, right?
It's essentially a module that plugs into the power. And then at the other end of that are speaker line level connectors to plug into the speaker. Right? And so you use any of the speakers you have to plug in the module to that and then plug in the module into power. And then it looks for the left speaker, the right speaker, and it has like a receiver that can just plug in eARC to your TV. So you can get rid of the sound bar or you can get rid of the AV receiver and you run the sound through the power line. Now,
so what is the power line carrying? Is it carrying just the signal? Is it carrying actual like power for each passive speaker?
Well, it is. It's doing both. It's doing both, right? It's the signal and the power because there's no signal coming, like plugging into anything, and through their like little now this is still B2B only. This is not for consumers just yet. It's rather expensive, I'd say, right? But man, wiring up my rear heights is a pain in the ass. Wiring up any heights is a pain in the ass. If all I had to do was, plug in at the bottom of the stand and then run a cable up, easy peasy. So their main system is 8 channels, 7.1 or 5.1 if you want to do that, or 5.1.2. Now, they have another version where you can just add on to your existing AVR where you get the RCAs, right? Let's say you just wanted to use this for your heights. You get their system, you go RCAs from your AVR into the RCA inputs of the device, and then you just plug in your speakers to the little modules where the speaker wire just goes to it goes speaker wire, module, power. That's it. And then it'll find your speakers that are connected to the RCA outs on the receiver, and you won't have to cable up. And if you're doing big monstrous home theater, that could be super useful. You'll probably spend more money in cable than you will on these modules. So it was like $800 for the receiver and $300 for each module. So that's what I'm saying. It's not cheap.
Okay.
Right?
So
but,
how powerful are amps in those modules?
That I don't know. They're gonna be at CDI. They might go to Exponent. I don't know, but
Okay.
I can get CEO's information. You guys going to NAMM? I'm signed up.
Okay.
I'm signed. Are you going?
Should I go? I don't know. Maybe.
They said that they're still on with all the fire stuff happening. They're still on, and they're monitoring. I keep getting their emails about their monitoring stuff like that.
Okay.
Here's the funny story that I think Joe was wanting me to tell.
Oh, okay.
They had an Atmos setup, and I saw that they had a Blu-ray player. I'm like, hey, can you play my Atmos mix? I see you have a Blu-ray player, and so they played it. First of all, they had the front stage up on the ceiling, which was not that great, and then they had a screen, and the front stage was above the screen, and then they had speakers on the floor, all using their little technology. And then I'm listening to the song, and I'm like, something's not right here. Here, bounce out of this. Here, let me. I got the remote from the guy because it was a Sony Blu-ray player, and I went and played the call outs. Front left came out of the front right. Center came out of the front left. The only thing they had correct were the side surrounds, the rear surrounds, and the heights. But the whole front stage was totally wrong. The CEO's like, and my brother was there this whole time, and he's like, I'm like, oh, this is all messed up. And the CEO's like, that's their fault. I got it.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like you know how much these guys pay for CES, right?
Yeah.
And they were on the show floor. Yeah.
They're huge money.
Mm-hmm.
Huge money. And then like you go and do a demo and your speakers are all. You need the spatial audio calibration toolkit.
That's right. And we are doing a 10% off for CES. So use this code CES 2025, get 10% off your order. And yes, I used this and I helped them and another booth dial in their Dolby Atmos home theaters at the trade show.
You should get paid for that. I think that's a new business. We go around and go calibrate, booths.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So, there's a lot more. I have 15 YouTube videos to edit.
That's gonna be fun.
Dude. Oh my god, you guys, the cars. There's so much. I'm getting hot. I gotta take the jacket off.
Oh,
it's getting hot in here.
Okay. So so Pioneer, the first car demo I had was Pioneer's OEM Dolby Atmos car thing. They were doing everything right now.
He's judging. He's a car audio guy, and I see like some judgment in his eyes already.
I'm just like they can't say it don't sound good.
Yeah.
Dude. They were doing everything right. They had Clipple tuning.
Oh.
Clipple was there.
Oh.
They were showing the drivers, hey, this is a regular driver, but these are our new drivers that are lighter and they can handle all the SPL, and this is what we're doing, tuning it. Okay. And we're just waiting. And me and Matthew, you remember Joe, that guy Matthew from Canada, Matthew?
Oh, yeah.
He was there. He was
nice.
There. Yeah, so I was walking around with him on Friday. My brother was long gone. And we got in there and they're like, okay, they're like, so I got a Dolby Atmos demo from Dolby. I had to strong arm those people at Dolby to let me in. I had to like literally whip it out and be like, I created this with my friend. You got to let me in. And they did. Stupid.
That's how you get in, right?
That's how I get in.
That's how
I get into places. So I got the Dolby Atmos demo in the Rivian, and they were like, oh, the sweet spot is in the back of the car. We can change it, but, in the back middle of the car. Okay, so I got a demo of that on Thursday. Friday, at the Pioneer thing, they were like, oh, the sweet spot is in the front passenger. So, hold on, MW. I'm going to get to that one. So, we were listening, and I did a Dolby Atmos. I did a binaural recording, and that shit sucked. That shit was so bad. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm looking at Matthew like, why is the vocal coming from the middle of the car? He's like, I'm hearing that too. And so we swapped so that he can get into the sweet spot chair and I could hear what the other passengers hear. I'm like, they changed the front stage so there's no front stage. So the vocals come out of the center of the vehicle, like underneath you. It was the weirdest thing. I was just like, oh my God, I wasted a fucking hour waiting for this demo.
Yeah, that's weird.
And it was very, very bad. Very, very bad. I was just like, oh, even Matthew agreed. I'm like, why are they doing that? So we talked to the engineer and they're like, well, he passed the buck off to Dolby saying, well, Dolby wants you to have this immersive experience where you don't know where the vocals are coming from. I'm like, the fuck? It came from under my ass. Like, what? What do I? It's like, it just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So then we left there. And the last demo of the day, Friday, the whole show, we found Dirac doing some shit with Denon in this Tesla, right? Where is this at? I took a picture of this shit because this shit, I took a video.
While you look for that, MW says car audio can be quite advanced. Dirac art came from car audio. Actually, I think the Volvo SUV, one of their SUVs had Dirac art before they called it art.
Yeah.
So
we got Denon, Dirac, Timpani, who did the speakers, and Sonified, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this shit was fucking legit. This shit was awesome. Holy shit, was this good? Right? The other ones I was like, oh, hi, Darla. The other one I was like, hey, they got this clipable tooting. Okay, cool. Yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. We can make the speakers sound better, da, da, da.
Mm-hmm.
But this car, this was awesome. And they had so many more features that the other one just didn't. Like, did I video it on my phone? I did not. It was all video done on my actual camera. Because, like, dude, I took video of the stupid clipable demonstration stuff. Like,
they had
here they are. There's Clipple, they're showing us like what they did in the Pioneer booth, but it was booty, dude. It was complete garbage compared to what was in this Denon car or this Dirac. And that was super cool. Like, the Sonified had headrests that had speakers in it, and they replaced like all the speakers, like 18 speakers or something like that. Front stage clearly defined. We did you have like in the console or the like touch screen, you can change the focus to just the driver, just the front passenger, both the front passenger and driver, the whole car, right? And you can change the intensity of all of these things. It was very well done. Very well done. It's probably an expensive system to put in there. That's what they were saying, but it's still like a B2B kind of thing and not like direct to consumer yet. But damn, that shit was good. Like, yeah, like maybe it was one of those things where we had to experience something absolute garbage to like appreciate how good this thing was. And as soon as I got out of that car, I'm like, yo, I don't know who you guys are, but you guys got some hot shit right here. So they were super excited.
What's up, Darla and Angela? We officially have the most females in a podcast audio hi-fi podcast ever with two.
So,
those a huge number, man.
Yep.
Gotta be careful not to drive them away.
They're probably gone already.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So CES sounds like a success. Probably tiring also, huh?
Yes, with everything else going on, I was invited to all kinds of different after parties. There's a TikTok after party. There's
you went to the Sphere thing too, right?
Yeah.
TikTok after party that ends Sunday.
Hey, this is for Aaron.
What?
It was a new thing that they announced.
That's awesome, man. Who is that guy? Get rid of that guy.
I take that for you. Just
thank
for
you,
buddy.
man. I appreciate that. I want one of those.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, and then I stayed, and my present to myself was the show at the Sphere Friday night, and wow, oh my god, I'm gonna do a total review on that. Do you know there's 168,000 speakers in that thing behind the screen? There's 18,000 seats, so each person gets 8 speakers.
Wow.
And they're
That's
like directed, like the visuals crazy,
Yeah.
visuals out of this world, but the
And the
sound
was
like
good.
oh my god, when like something would happen, everybody's like, whoa, because you can feel it in your seat. You can feel like the music, even though you're like so far away from the speakers. Like
That's crazy. You should have ran the toolkits, made sure all their speakers are.
Yeah, could you imagine?
oh my gosh.
I do wonder how it's set up. Like, are they set up in zones? And I mean,
Yes, because you can actually one section can have English, and then the section next to it can be in Spanish. Yeah, it's like it's that focused. It's
They got some beamforming stuff. I wonder if they're using Meyer Sound Space Map Go. I wonder.
Who knows?
Or maybe their own thing. Maybe they have their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, you should have seen like the cameras or the whatever that you need to actually film the visuals, because it's so like high, like the resolution, right? You need to just, it has to fit on this thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I got a ton of video, ton of footage. Hopefully I can get through a lot of it before NAMM starts, which is like in like 8 or 9 days.
Cool, man.
I gotta like hustle. Yeah.
Well, so
CES pretty awesome.
Sounds good, man.
Oh, I ran into Mr. Youth Man, Mr. Michael Stevens.
Yeah, he said, I saw he commented on your video.
Yeah. Yeah, because I also guy DJ'd like the largest, like, dude, 65,000 person arena.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then just getting in there was a, like, you had to go through security. I parked where the athletes park. It's like right by the field. Like I could have driven the car onto the field like that close. It was so crazy. Yeah, and I saw Michael's post. He's like, you didn't really miss much. And I'm like, really? There's a lot of audio stuff. And then, Aaron, I got to hear the Bayo 90s.
Oh, did you? That's awesome.
Oh, XD Beast, dude. I got a Dolby Atmos demos from the largest Bang & Olufsen showroom in the country. It's also in Vegas. I love Michael. He's such a good dude. But like when you go to like when you go to CES and you don't talk to any of the people there, that's the problem. Like all the stuff he showed in his video, the Hisense TVs, those don't even come to North America. They're not even coming to the States. There's only one TV or 2 TVs, because I covered them, that are coming to the United States. So it's like, you got to know, you got to talk to these people, and you got to know the whole Vox thing, the Onkyo Clips thing. You had to go Monday. That was invite only. The Focal thing was Monday. You had to go invite only. These are all you have to do all these things, and you have to know all these people. You can't just go to CES when you're looking for audio specifically. You can't just go to CES and walk around, right? Like that. Like there's too much to see, and if you don't plan and prioritize those things, like I spent a bunch of money on self-parking. Like if I flew in, I would have spent at least like $600 on Uber.
Man,
yeah,
just going around, because everything was off campus. Everything audio was pretty much off campus. Yeah, except SVS was on the floor. Got to see them. They were cool. They were demoing their new subs. Nothing new this show, but they were still there.
Well, I want to move on from CES for a bit. We've been talking about for like the past 30 minutes, and I know you have a bunch of videos coming up, so just watch out for Chana's videos.
Yeah,
I'll TCL one. You got some videos coming up. They go into more detail about a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah,
the stuff that you really like. But speaking of SVS, I saw this article on Audio Science Review. I don't know if it's a post, I should say, about bass and subwoofers. And this is an old post, but let me kind of share here. Share screen, window, and it's this one here. So it's this post. It's just called Bass and Subwoofers, and there are a lot of links to various papers, right? So this one's by Todd Welty, another one Todd Welty, Zenda. But it was this one that kind of stood out to me. I don't even know how to say that. Greisinger, 2005. Okay. Anyway, they're talking about bass and bass localization. And so I think this was, David Greisinger. Anyway, they're talking about the localization of bass, right? And we've talked about that before. And the kind of the consensus, I guess, that you hear is that bass is not localizable below certain frequency, right? Like you won't be able to tell where the bass is coming from. And where was it that let me just kind of read this section here. All right, so it says, however, it is widely believed that the direction of sound incidents cannot be perceived in a small room. It is assumed that the presence of room modes makes localization impossible. The statement that low frequencies cannot be localized is easily shown to be true when a sine tone is used as a signal. However, it is equally easy to show that a broadband such as a low-pass filtered noise or low-pass filtered click is easily localized in most rooms. So he's saying if you're playing a single sine wave, single tone, it's going to be hard to figure out where that sound is coming from if it's in the bass frequencies. But if you're playing broadband, if you're playing some pink noise, that you will be able to localize that. And he talks about here, in free field, we detect the azimuth of sounds. So azimuth, is that a fancy way of saying direction?
Yeah, it's so elevation would be up and down. Azimuth is left and right. So there's ITD and ILD, which I think is what he's about to talk about.
Okay, so azimuth,
Horizontal,
all right. Azimuth of sounds at low frequencies by detecting the time differences between the zero crossings of the pressure waveform at the two ears. Human perception is particularly sensitive to sounds with sharp onsets. We tend to localize the beginnings of sounds. We localize an impulsive sound at low frequencies in part because it takes time for standing waves to establish themselves, but there is a second reason. The second reason is that standing waves preserve the original sound direction information if you average over enough of them. Low frequency noise or a pulse will excite many room modes all at once, and the time differences between the ears will correspond to the source azimuth. Okay, so let me take that off the screen for a second. I've done a similar test where I placed a sub in my room and I played some, I forgot what tones I played. But then I had my wife and kids come in and try to tell me where the sound was coming from. And the issue was they'd start going towards the corner and it would start to get louder because so they're like, oh, I think it's over here, right? Depending on where they'd move, but it was actually in the center of the room somewhere, right? So it was kind of tricky to just use, I guess, SPL to determine where it came from. But I kind of did something similar where I turned off all the lights so I couldn't tell where I was based on where the lights were. And I just kind of spun around, right? Just closed my eyes and just started spinning. And I could kind of tell the direction of where the bass was coming from somehow, right? I couldn't pinpoint it. I couldn't walk over and point at it, but I could kind of say think it's kind of from that side of the room, somewhere over here, somewhere over here. So I think that might be, there is some truth to that, you know? Any thoughts, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, high frequency is the same thing in a car. If you play a tone, good luck telling where it's coming from, but play music or pink noise and you can tell. It's pretty interesting. So it's room size dependent too. And that's probably all wavelength based as well. Like you can take a subwoofer and put it behind you and you can make it sound like it's up front with the right DSP corrections. So yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff though.
But I think go ahead. Sorry.
I think the more important aspect of that, and he didn't really talk about in detail or maybe he did somewhere else, but and it's pretty well known, but is the how you hear things horizontally, like so left to right, and it's time based below about 1K and it's intensity based above about 2K, and there's some overlap in between 1 and 2K, and it's really just based on the difference of or the distance between your ears. So like in car audio, we know that because if you want to get the center image to put in the center of the dash, you have to do a lot of time alignment and level setting. But when you're doing time delay, you don't really hear the time delay differences in high frequency. You hear it in the mid range more. But then it's the opposite for level matching. So
Interesting.
And the other thing too is I just real fast. You know, the whole notion about if you have a horn loaded driver that you can crossfire them because you do the they call it time intensity trading, right?
Mhm.
So if you're sitting off to the side of the center, then you cross those speakers in front of you or to where they align in front of you. And the idea is that by doing that, then you'll still have a proper stereo image, because they say that you'll have a center image, but that's not true, because you hear basically, like I said, it's kind of broken up. So you hear by time below about 1K, you hear by intensity of above about 2K. And if you're sitting near a speaker, you're still going to hear that speaker closer to you because of time. It doesn't matter that you've towed it so far away from you that the high frequency is dropping, you still hear that time difference. And that's important for people to understand too, because I see people say, well, what about if you crossfire them? I'm like, it don't work that way.
Yeah. Haas effect, is that what that is?
No, it's just there's interoral time delay, so that's ITD, and interoral level difference, and that's ILD.
I was going to say
or interoral intensity difference, IID, and then
so
IPD is
more presence effect. I'm just saying you can tell the distance or where something is coming from based on those things that you just said. I think.
Yeah, I don't know if it has that much to do with presence effect. It's just that's just the mechanism of how your ears hear.
Okay.
Right. So you get a lot of head shadowing too. So if it's longer wavelengths, you can detect the time difference, and that shorter wavelengths, you detect the level difference, and that's what allows you to localize sounds. And that's kind of what he touched on a little bit in there when he says the azimuth. That's the left right. So you don't hear the same. It doesn't work the same way vertically, but that's how you can tell something. Like if you want to hone in on where a sound is, that's how your ears work.
I think the interesting part to me was where he talks about the zero crossings of the pressure waveform.
Yeah, that one
sound exactly like the same way that we would detect. I guess we hear sounds in that way, but the way that he said it here makes it sound like it's a different mechanism somewhat.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what I noticed too. It's not like I can localize it the same way I'd localize, 2 kilohertz. Like I can hear it because I move my head a little bit and the sound changes.
Yeah.
Right. That's not that type of thing. It is more just like, I don't know. I feel like something's coming from this direction.
Yeah.
It's a different mechanism. So anyway, I just thought people might be interested in that. I will leave a link to that here. Boom. You can read all the papers, because I know that we've had questions before about directional bass. And if there's anything to that, a lot of the new Denon Marantz, they have 4 sub outs, and you can set one up in different locations with directional bass, I guess, is a setting.
Directional bass.
That's so anyway, let's move on. I want to talk about Aaron, your recent review of the KEF Q11 Meta. I thought was very interesting for various reasons.
Yeah, interesting.
First of all, the fact that you get paid from KEF, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
just kidding.
I'm loading.
I always have to say that like real quick, because I feel like somebody will be like,
oh yeah, that's all the listen. I had one guy comment. It was really funny. He said I only watched the first 40 seconds of this video, but like that really sucks that you're getting paid or whatever. And basically he was saying like I didn't pay attention to the part where you said just kidding, but he was making a joke out of it. And I thought that's a pretty clever reply.
Let's see here. Do you have the full Spinorama on your?
No, I forgot about. No, I mean I intended to load it up, but
you kind of do
with it.
You kind of do. So you don't have it on the website, but I have it on the video here. It's just funny because okay. This video is from Audio Science Review. Also, somebody always posts your stuff there.
Oh,
that's funny.
Yeah, I'm sure it's my fault too.
So it's interesting because the Q11 Meta has this downward on axis and listening window. So listening window being the small green, has a downward tilt, right?
Yes.
Which according to a lot of stuff from Harman, Dr. Toole, and Sean Olive, they've been kind of just saying, no, this this is the primary thing that you should look for and should be linear anechoic, and you're taking anechoic measurements. Right. Except this one's kind of deviating from that idea. This one has a downward tilt from the get-go.
Yep.
So, but you liked it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's doing that to match up to the woofer's directivity as well. So they're trying to keep a smooth overall early reflections directivity or in-room response. So, and they talk about all this in their white paper. So it's not really that I'm like, oh, this is what they're doing and letting people in on the secret. I mean, Kef tells everybody what they're doing with it. It's pretty cool. And actually, I've seen some stuff in their white papers that I've used, like when I was building speakers. I've used some of their ideas from their white papers. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like one of them is for batting inside of an enclosure, that if you put it at the bottom versus putting it in the middle, that if you put it at the bottom or near the walls, it's not as effective as it is if you put it in the middle of the tower speaker. And I was like, dang, that's cool. And they showed all this data for it,
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's cool.
So let's see, CAF Q11 meta.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I was confused about it at first when I saw that. Here's some from Kef's measurements. Actually, they have their spinorama measurements that they put out.
Yeah.
You already looked at those, Aaron?
I copied them. I copied and pasted.
Copied them?
Yeah.
And so I thought that was interesting that you could still like the sound of a speaker that has a downward tilt to the direct response. And I've talked to you about like some of my theories lately. And so it's some ideas that I'm playing around with as far as like what we should be looking for specifically. Typically, I would always look at on axis and listening window. Like if this wasn't flat, I'd be like, boo.
Right. Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to think that that's not the case anymore.
Good.
I know you put a lot more weight on the in-room response, which is estimated in-room response. And this is not.
That's not mine. Okay. Okay. All
right. And it's the downward tilt is much. How do you say?
More aggressive, right?
More aggressive tilt.
It's a steeper tilt.
Yeah, and yet you still like it. In your review, you kind of said, "Hey, make sure you have sidewalls." It's made for that sort of environment. But I just thought it was fascinating, that something like this could still sound very good to a subjective listening experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting stuff. And you and I have talked about this a good bit, but I was surprised when I saw the measurements of the on-axis response, tilting down. It's like 5 decibels between, I don't know, like say 1K and 20K or something like that. Maybe more, maybe a little bit less. I can't recall exactly. But when I saw that, I was like, yowza. But it works, It sounds good. And that in-room response is clean.
I've been kind of toying with the idea that this early reflections directivity index is the one measurement that I prefer to look at. If I had to look, of course, I'm going to try to look as many measurements as I can.
Right.
To tell the whole story. But if I had to just look at one, I used to just look at these, but that may not be the best indicator anymore to me.
Right.
I'm starting to look more at this green line and to try to see how linear that is. Not that it's a flat line, but just a straight line, right?
Yeah.
From the base, let's say from 200 hertz to 12 kilohertz, somewhere around there. I think that's what they use. So if that's a straightish line, to me, that's a good indicator of a good speaker.
Yeah.
To me. So I'm toying with that idea. I have some data from your Clipple and Amir's Clipple, on Spinorama, and I've just been kind of looking at the data. I'm no expert when it comes to analyzing this stuff, so I'm talking to a few people to make sure that what I'm looking at is correct. But I'm just gonna share real quick, and keep in mind this could be false, right? This could be false information. But I'm looking at information and trying to see if there's correlation, right? So I just been graphing out you know, different correlations, right? The smoothness versus the preference score, on axis versus the preference score, low frequency extension, etc. Right? So anyway, that's something maybe I'll get into that a little bit more, but this is what I've been up to. This is what I was doing all night yesterday.
It's fun, man, when you get into stuff like that. You'll look up and you're like, man, where'd the time go?
I know. I'm just in here like messing around.
Yeah.
So this one's kind of interesting. This one I don't mind sharing. So price versus listener preference. So listener preference is, I think some people call it the olive score. I think it's
olive score. Like Sean Olive
think,
or no?
Is
it really?
I think it's based on the fact that they did controlled blind listening tests, and the idea was, I think he may have wanted to come up with some kind of formula to correlate what people seem to like and the measurements that they had taken anechoically. Maybe. I'm not sure. I think that's what it is. But a lot of people put a lot of weight into these preference scores. And I talked to Dr. Floyd Toole the other day, and he started off with like, if we're talking about preference scores, like he didn't want to talk. He's like, if we're going to talk about preference scores, I don't want to talk about that. Basically,
right? Talking about preference scores.
Yeah, something like that. I think he's kind of saying like, don't put so much weight into that because that was for his research. You know what I mean? A lot of times people take stuff that they've used from their research, kind of take it out of context.
Right.
And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Of course I am. But I figure if it was good enough for his research, it must mean something. I don't know exactly what, but here's the price versus preference score. So the price of the speaker and how it correlates to a higher preference score. And so this is just raw, right? And you can see that there is an upward trend line. So the more you spend, typically it's gonna score higher, right? Higher preference score. But most of that actually is because the more you spend, it's likely to be a bigger speaker with more bass, and the bass extension part has about 30%, right? That score, the weighting, about 30% of it is how much bass you get, right? So cheap $100 speaker probably won't have a ton of bass, right? And so I think a lot of that is shifted in that direction because of it. But it's interesting to see that there is a correlation. And then if you go down here, you can see the price versus the preference score with EQ.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same trend line, right? So, and I think it's still the same reason because of bass, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can make a speaker more linear, but you can't really give it that much more bass, right?
Yeah.
It's still limited. But what is interesting is price versus preference score with sub and EQ. So if you apply both of it right here, you can see my mouse cursor. You can see that the line becomes much, much flatter, more shallow, meaning you don't have to spend a ton of money. Just add a sub and add some EQ, and it's already going to be higher than a lot of these. Like, look, $5,000. If I spend $5,000 over here, you could get one that scores a 2 in preference score. So there's a wide range. But let's say around here, it's going to score around like a 4 or 5 with EQ. But over here, just adding a sub, it gets everything up to like around an 8 already, right? If you add a sub and EQ, it's just going to make a huge difference. So I think I just wanted to reiterate to some people that if you want to improve the sound of your system, if you want to improve the sound of your system, I think the best way is actually, this is a good graph right here. Hold on a second. This one over here. This one on the upper right. So the yellow here is kind of, what is this called? Like I don't want to say standard deviation, but like a regular, what is the bell curve called?
Yeah. I don't know what you've got graph there.
Okay, so in yellow is just the raw preference score for a bunch of speakers, right?
Yeah.
Like
What's
600
the
plus
Y?
speakers.
What's the Y-axis? Is that price?
How many speakers? So this is the number of speakers, and the preference score here, right?
Okay.
So the raw preference score, I guess. What do you call it? I don't remember statistics. Normal distribution. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be maybe what it's considered. I don't know. I mean, you have to break it out further to really have a distribution, but let's just call it that for now.
Okay, so let's just say you have this curve, right? Let's just look at the yellow, and you'll see some of them are straight garbage, and then some of them are like pretty good, and then you get fewer and fewer that are actually like, high preference score raw, right? But you'll see that the whole thing shifts over. Let's look at it's hard to see here. With EQ is in blue, right? So those same set of speakers, if you just apply EQ to them, you'll see that you'll have more of them. First of all, the whole thing is shifted to the right. So it improves the preference score just by applying EQ. And then you'll get some that really benefit a lot, right? Few speakers that benefit a lot from EQ. In green is what happens if you were to just add a sub, right? So from yellow, you see this curve, and adding a sub in green, you see everything shifts way over, right? According to the preference score, right? And then in red is what happens if you add a sub and add EQ. Right. So you can see everything shift over from, let's say, the best ones here being like, I don't know, 4.5, 5, I don't know, somewhere around there, to like the best ones being over 7. So I think what this is kind of showing is like, if the listener preference score has any correlation to what people would like, it's showing that adding a sub and EQing speakers would be a good place to start. Of course, it's always good to have the best speaker to start with, right? Get the best possible speaker. But anyway, it's just a way of graphing some of these ideas here.
Yeah, I mean, it basically just proves out kind of what you expect is that if you EQ a speaker and you're able to add a subwoofer to it, you're going to enjoy the system more overall.
Yeah, right? And a lot of the questions that we get are like, I have this much money, what should I spend it on? So should I spend it on the best possible speakers? Maybe my recommendation would be like, leave some room for a sub.
Right. I think that's the bigger one, is not necessarily EQ. I mean, so I think probably you can take EQ and there are some cases where you can really improve the performance of the speaker with EQ. And there are some cases where you can't really improve it, either because the speaker is just so bad or because it's already really good. Right. So you might not really make a big difference necessarily either way, but there's so few speakers that can extend below 50 hertz or 40 hertz that adding a subwoofer is really the one that's going to improve things overall. And then EQ could probably be a secondary aspect to it.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting about this graph here is like the green is just adding a sub.
Yeah.
But adding the red is adding a sub and EQ. So you see that it does shift it over maybe one up higher. How much that matters in the real world, I don't know. But if you can do it, a lot of times EQ is actually, free if you know how to do stuff yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you got magic beans. If you want to spend a little money, it'll tell you what to do. So anyway, I thought this stuff was very interesting, and I'll pursue this and talk to more people and make sure that I'm giving some decent information.
We'll see you writing the AES paper soon.
Yeah, we'll see. I would need help with that.
If you go, I'll go there and just hang out with you, and then I'll watch it. I'll watch all of it. I ain't helping you. It ain't my paper.
Me and Aaron will be there with like fucking pom poms and shit.
Yeah, we're like, go Joe,
go J-O-E.
Yeah,
you're going to get grilled, man. All your haters are going to show up. Actually, none of your haters will, because they'd have to leave their basement, their mom's basement. But yeah, all your haters would show up.
Yeah, or their custom smart home.
Oh yeah, I don't have one of those, so I'm not. I'm not the hater. Yeah, we'll see. All right. Hey, I'm going to jet because I'm starving and I'm tired, but I didn't want to at least jump in with you guys for a
Thank you. Thank you for jumping in. It's always good to see your face You know, because you know, a lot of times it's a good escape from all the kind of stuff that's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
Craziness, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys be safe. Enjoy.
Take care.
Man. Later.
Later. Question here from JT, the IT guy. Thank you for the super chat. $10 super chat. He says, I wonder what your opinion on the Philharmonic BMR monitors. I know Joe recently reviewed them. My pair just came in on Saturday. I have to say, very impressed with the soundstage and sound. Yeah, you know, so it's tricky, JT, the IT guy, because they have different versions, right? So they kind of look the same from the outside, but on the most recent versions, they've changed out the tweeter to the model that has an X, and it's a different tweeter, which means that they had to change the crossover. So the measurements that I took versus the measurements Aaron took are different, because his had different drivers, different crossover components. And then the version before that had a totally different woofer. And they say that the cabinet shouldn't matter too much, but I feel like the rounded one might measure slightly different. But I'm impressed with that. You know, the reason I chose that specifically to review was because the directivity on it looked good. I was telling you guys that directivity is what I've been looking at. So I was looking through a bunch of speakers. I'm like, dude, this one looks crazy. Let me call them and ask them to review it. So that's what happened. And
directivity snob.
What's that?
Got good directivity. He's all about it. So it doesn't have to good directivity. Like, I don't know about that one. I don't want to touch.
All about directivity right now. It's the one thing that you cannot fix with EQ.
That's right.
So you got to make sure you have a speaker with good directivity, and then you can apply EQ, add a sub, do all that. But the thing about these BMR monitors that's different is just they have a very wide dispersion pattern, right? So directivity is good, but it's also a wide pattern. So I think that could be very beneficial for soundstage width. But I think the trade-off really is precise imaging, right? So if you get something with a more narrow, like horn, like a clip speaker, where it's like, a lot of times you get like very precise imaging, but then the width, you sacrifice the width, right? So anyway, I'm glad you're liking your speaker. Let's see, we have another super chat. Oh, I don't know how to say that. Yes. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, weird question. What is the best Atmos setup for rooms where you need to sit by the back wall? I have top, middle, and front height. Ooh, Chana, you have that. You've experienced that.
I think what the configuration you've got now, probably the best way to go about it, right? If you're using top, middle as in ceilings, what is your... Please make a short YouTube segment about it so others can find out. So in my space, I would use, technically, if you had a Denon or Marantz and you saw surround height, physically that's where they are in. Okay, yes, in ceiling. So yeah, I think top, middle, because essentially that's where you are. Front height and top, middle. You could try top, back, or rear back. Top, whatever they call it. I don't know exactly what they call it. But any kind of height surround wouldn't work. I think top, middle probably is going to be the best thing. Because here's the problem. When you have front height and rear height, but your rear heights, like mine, are like up and then like angled down like this. When they're trying to image a sound in the middle, they're trying to play something so that it meets in the middle. So when you say that you have something that's right above you, you should choose top, middle. Otherwise, it's going to give you a sound where it thinks the two speakers are going to bump into the sound's going to bump and then send the like signal down. Instead, it's like this. One's coming this way, one's going this way. So it's always missing, and you're always going to hear that sound coming from your rear height left instead of matrixing with both speakers.
So let's just say, for example, for simplicity, if he were to set it instead of top, middle, if he were to put it as rear height, then something that was supposed to go to top, middle would image like somewhere in front of him, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Like in front of him, on the side of his head, instead of up there in the middle.
Okay.
So if something is coming at you, if my Rice Krispie treat, shout out to Rice Krispie treats, Kellogg's. If the sound is supposed to come at you like this, if I'm like here, I gotta duck down. Oh, okay. Now that's in frame. So sound's coming at you like this. If you have front height right here, it's coming from that. And if you have top middle, it's just going to take over, right? Like that top middle, if it's just facing down, it's in the right like dispersion pattern to just put the sound, that's going this way. Whereas if you have rear height, just kind of like aiming down at you here, you're going to get the sound come this way. And then all of a sudden it comes this way, right? It goes this way and then boom, right? So you're getting fucking two directions. You're getting the Chobani and the rice, and they're like going this way instead of the sound just kind of coming at you this way, right? That's the best way I can describe it. And that's the experience I get when I choose rear height left as opposed to top middle. So I think you have it set up the right way.
Yeah.
That is a great video, by the way. I should make that. And use something better than Rice Krispie treats and Chobani's.
All right. I have 3 minutes and I have to go. So the reason why we have this new time slot, I should have said at the beginning, is because my daughter is in 2 soccer clubs right now, where like she's transitioning from one to the other. And so we're going to 2 practices. And so it's kind of crazy. So we're going to figure out the exact time slot, but I think Wednesday is going to be it. We might change the time to somewhat maybe 4 p.m. Pacific. Well, we're going to experiment to see what's going on, but let's go through some of these super chats real quick. I was told I had to take off in 2 minutes. So let's go through them.
Okay. Ole just bought a Rendell 1723 front stage. Would Base X A3 be better than rather than 9-channel with Marantz? Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be better. I would go with the external amplifier.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah. Thank you for the super chat. Victor Boyd, thank you for being a member for 18 months. Yay!
Victor Boyd's awesome.
Year and a half. Thank you so much. That's all for the super chats.
Okay, any other interesting ones here that you want to address very quickly?
Wendell, Joe, I asked you about the OSD 5-channel amp. After a lot of thought, I'm going to save my money and go with your Magic Beans and make my setup sound better.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. I mean, eventually you can get both.
Yeah. Why not? Let's see. Aaron's not here. Does anybody who listens to 2-channel music in Dolby Atmos or THX? I don't know. If I'm listening to Dolby Atmos music, I'm gonna listen to all of it. One more question. Thank you for the super chat. I see some people on Reddit always arguing about certain Atmos setups are not Dolby standards like mine. 100%. Yours is not. If you are backed up to a wall and your surrounds cannot be behind you, like this speaker is right behind me, and if it's on the sides, that is not an approved Dolby layout. I just talked to the head of Dolby Atmos Music on Thursday while I was at CES, and I'm like, in reality, sometimes we can't, or like my viewers, myself even, cannot place the speakers exactly where, it is, whatever, what is it called? Dolby standardized. And that's just the way it is. And they're like, yeah, we understand that. And that's it. That's it. It is what it is, right? Yeah. You can't put speaker behind you, Tough shit. But to all the people on the Reddit and forums and Facebook groups, man, they can all go fuck off, right? Like,
are you gonna still have an enjoyable experience? I think so.
Yes.
You're gonna watch a movie. You're gonna be like, oh, crazy. Yeah, I mean, there's a post on AVS right now where they're analyzing the Atmos like mixes to see how much is actually going on in various channels, right? And showing the waveforms and seeing if some of them are just replicated like ear level and then they just replicated it.
Yep.
To see if they're actually moving objects around. And there's a lot of movies where there's just either nothing's happening or they're replicating the sound. Some movies where there's some stuff going on. But if you look at how much is actually going on in the front, left, center, right, it's huge amount, right? Surround, a little bit less, but there's still a lot. Then you look at wides, like a lot of times it's blank, right? You look at the heights and it's just like little tiny
little bits
things here and there. don't worry about it, right? You do the best you can with the layout. And I would say it's probably best to just, if it's, above you, kind of just use the layout that is closest to your layout. Don't try to trick it and do some kind of other setup. Just in the AVR settings, set it as they are in your room. And Dolby or the AVR, Dolby and the AVR are going to try to do their best to kind of make it sound as good as it possibly can with that layout. Is it going to be perfect? No. Would it be better if you were equidistant to every speaker? Yes. Would it be better if you had a 9.1.6 for precision? Yeah. But hey, sometimes you just got to enjoy your system.
That's right.
Anyway, I got to take off. It was good seeing you guys again. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. We still will have our after show. So I'll pop into that for a little bit just so we can hang out.
That's right. If you want to be part of the after show, go to crew.dailyhifi.com. You want to pick up some merch and support the channel, go to shop.dailyhifi.com. And if you don't want to see me eat on camera or see Aaron's ugly mug on the screen, listen to it's so unfair. He's not here. Listen to the podcast anchor.fm/dailyhifi on your favorite podcasting thing. Check us out. On behalf of myself, Aaron, and Joe, have a great night. We will see you in the next one.